Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemel Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great mercy to do well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. It is a brother Marcus out here in Trinidad. I just want to do all the edification for the elect's sake. And, this lesson basically is edification on, ancient customs and, the laws of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Alright? Because, the laws, as the scripture says, give us, the eternal laws. Alright? The laws that were there from the beginning. John said it. These are the commandments that you have heard from the beginning. The commandments that was always there. The everlasting commandments. And Yahweh Shai himself said that heaven and earth will pass away before even a jot or a tittle shall pass from the law. Alright, so I was having a discussion earlier on concerning, basically the word, pedophilia. Alright, concerning pedophilia and what Esau calls pedophilia. Now, basically, pedophilia just goes back to, a love for or a sexual attraction for children. All right, and you know what? Let me go here. Let's look up the word child. Let's see what the word child here says. In Old English, it says, what fetus, infant, unborn, or newly born person. Alright? It says womb, pregnant, children of the same marriage. It says litter, womb. So basically, young children. Right? Someone young. Alright? They ain't giving you a literal age, but basically, all they're saying is young. All right, so I want to look up the word adolescence, right? It says the age following childhood. So when you call somebody a pedophile, saying that they love children or they're sexually attracted to children, you are saying that this person is attracted to children under the age of adolescence. That is basically what you're saying. All right? Because an adolescent, or the age of adolescence, is the age following childhood, the age of growing. All right? Roughly the period from the 5th to the 21st, and the 15th to the 21st year, or age 14 to 25 in males and 12 to 21 in females. All right, that is the adolescent age. All right, says adolescentia, says youthful people. All right, so to call somebody a pedophile, and this person, let's say a man within his 20s, he has a woman between the age 15 to 18, and you say, you love children, you're a pedophile. You can't call this man a pedophile. All right, because the woman that he with is not a child, as the scripture says. Let me see if I could find this real quick. Right. 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and verse 49. It says, for like as a young child may not bring forth the things that belong to the aged. All right? A young child cannot bring forth things unto the age. A young child under the age of adolescent means they're not going through puberty, cannot make, they say in church, in the last days, children will be making children. That is nowhere found in the scriptures, and a child cannot make a child. All right? Just like a tree, the Lord compares to trees. When a tree is ready to bear fruit, they flower. That is why the scripture says, when the damsel, she reaches the flower of her age, she is ready to bear fruit. All right? So, a lot of times, people, they have an issue with a man, or let's go straight to the scriptures. They talk about, our ancient forefathers being with young women between the age of 12 to 15, and they say that it's pedophilia. But guess what? The Most High, Yahweh Shimei Shai, set it up that age is when a woman will be ready for childbearing. So basically, when you criticizing the scriptures or criticizing the customs or the biblical customs, what you doing, you judging Yahweh Shimei Shai, because the Lord was the one that ordained, things like that. Because the scripture says, you speak evil of the law and you judge the law. You speaking evil of the law and judging the law, because the Lord Yahweh Shimei Shai, he was the one that set it up. All right? There is Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 28. If a man find a damsel, all right? If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, and we look up the word damsel, is a young woman of marriageable age, an adolescent woman. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and there be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. Not he shall go to jail. She shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. All right? So, basically, the Lord Yahweh Shimei Shai in his laws said that it is lawful for a woman at the age, from the age of 12, from the age that she sees her menstrual cycle, the flower of her age, she is lawfully ready to marry. She is lawfully ready to marry. She could bring forth children. Just like we read in 2 Ezra chapter 5 and 49, it says, a child cannot bring forth things of the aged. All right? So growing up in Esau's kingdom, we've been brainwashed thinking that, that as from the until and this is where the idiocy comes in. Esau says that 18, and some states in America says 60, between 16 to 18. Esau says that from the moment a female turns 18, she's a woman. All right? But when she's 17 years old, 11 months, and am I saying it good? 11 months, just going on to that hour up until, let's say, the like 5 seconds before the clock strikes 12 midnight for her to turn 18. 5 seconds before the clock strikes 12, she's a child. And as the clock strikes 12, she's now an adult. So basically what you're saying is that the difference between a child and an adult is 1 second. No. The physical, natural changes within a woman makes her a woman. All right? Just like a man, the physical changes makes him a man. All right? The aged, a young child cannot bring forth things onto the aged. A child cannot make children. So therefore, from the moment that child sees her period, she's no longer a child, but a woman of marriageable age. All right? This is something that I looked up how old was Mary when she had, they said Jesus, but Yahushai. It says, while the Bible doesn't specify Mary's exact age when she gave birth unto Yahushai, more Christian historians and scholars speculate that she was likely around 15 to 16 years old. And Joseph was an aged man. Joseph was not a man in his mid-20s or the same age as Mary. Because even and just to show how we brainwashed in this lifestyle, a woman will be the age 18. And if she goes with a man in his late 20s, he's a pedophile. He's a creep. Alright? He's a what the word they use? He's a predator. He's a child predator. Alright? That is why the scripture says he will seek to change times and laws. Those things were not things that were ordained by the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. The Lord set it up that when a girl sees her period, she now becomes a woman. She now enters the age of adolescent, which is a young adult. An adolescent is not a child. Stop saying that at 13, 14, 15, 16, up to 80, stop calling them children. They are not children. Even people in the truth, you come into the truth, but you come in with the ideals of the world and you still hold on to them. You call it an adolescent man or an adolescent woman. You calling them children. They are not children. And that is the reason the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, when he comes, he gonna totally give us a new body. Because if we were to go into this new kingdom with the same mindset that we have now, we're gonna go into captivity all over again. Because a lot of you people out here, you're gonna hate the commandments of the Most High. You're gonna hate the commandments of the Most High. Alright? You are going to hate the commandments of the Most High, and you're gonna turn around from following the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and go back to following the heathens. When you come into this truth, you become a new creature. So yeah, all things are done away with. Forget the ideals of this world. Alright? Forget the ideals of this world. Alright? It says Jewish customs. It says in first century Jewish societies, girls were often betrothed or engaged around the age of 12. And marriage and childbirth often followed shortly after, around the age of 12, because that is when she becomes an adolescent. An adolescent, what? The age following childhood for females, 12 to 21. This is Esau telling you what the age of adolescence is. This is the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai telling you what the marriageable age is. Alright? It says, based on these customs and biblical narratives, scholars generally believe Mary was a young woman, likely in her early mid-teens, when she conceived and gave birth to Yahushai. Alright? It says some apocryphal, non-canonical texts, like the Proto-Evangelium of James, suggests Mary was 12 to 14 at the time of her betrothal and 16 during pregnancy. Alright? So Mary was a young woman. I remember watching a biblical movie a couple years back. And in that movie, they showed that Hagar was 15 years old when she got pregnant with Ishmael. Alright? Women were married off at a very young age. To see a woman in her 20s and not married, that would have been a rare spectacle. That was a rare spectacle. They would have married off early. Alright? When Abraham sent his servant to get a wife for Isaac, he asked for what? A damsel. Let's go to the scriptures. Let's see what damsel means. All right, so I want to read this before I go. It says, 1 Corinthians 10:23 says, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. And a lot of people use these scriptures conveniently for themselves. Yes, if according to this system that we live in, if we go and have sex with any woman that is under the age of 18, yes, we will be incarcerated for it. So should we do it? No, we should not. Because why? Because we don't want to put ourselves in problems. Is it wrong? Lawfully? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not unlawful in the sight of the Most High. So when you condemn these things in the sense of not because of the society we live in, but because you view it as profane or an abomination, what you are doing is judging the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You are judging the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. If you view circumcision as self-mutilation and you will not circumcise your child because you view it as self-mutilation, you are judging the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That is what you're doing. You are judging the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Alright? When you look up the word expedient, it means what? To bear or bring together. Or to bear together. All things don't come together. All things don't come together. Alright? Do you out here, you doing the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai? Would it be, benefiting to you to go to marry a young woman under the age of 18? Chances are you could get caught. And if there's a high possibility of you getting caught, should you do it? No. No, you should not. But in the kingdom, that is what's going to happen. So if you were to go in the kingdom with your same mindset now, what would you do if you see young women at the age of 12 being married off? What you would do? Would you leave the kingdom and go live amongst the heathen? Or go and start your own tribe? Start your own kingdom? All right. It says age of consent in the United States. So we're going down to history. It says while unrestricted age of consent is between 16 to 18 in all states, the law have widely varied across the country in the past. In 1886, the age of consent was set at 10 or 12 in most states. All right, so we know nothing about that 10 because the mass majority is only now because of all those chemicals. You see women starting to go through puberty at a younger age, but naturally they would have been going through that from the age of 12. All right, with the exception of Delaware where it was 7. See, that's Esau and his wickedness. It says the ages of consent were raised across the U.S. during the late 19th century and the early 20th century. It says by 1920, 26 states had an age of consent at 16 to 21. All right, at 16. So at 16, 21 states had an age of consent at 18, and one state, Georgia, had an age of consent at 14. So if there are in all 52 states in America, some have it at 14, some at 16, some at 18. And that is lawfully. And a man goes there and lawfully marry a woman that is 14 years old. Would you call this man a pedophile? Would you go on the media and call this man a pedophile? Well, you stand as a chance of being taken to court for defamation of character. Because he did not have sex with that child. He did not have sex with that child. There's an adolescent. It's two different things. Childhood is one thing, adolescence is one thing. A woman between the age of 12 to 18 is not a child. Stop calling them children. They are not. They are not. They're not children. All right? Going back to the scriptures. Boom, 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 boom. Let me read this real quick. I'll bring it out in the blue letter. This is the book of Mark 5. Mark 5, and to go straight to the point on 39, it says, and when he was come in, he said unto them, why make ye this ado and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. All right, so jumping down to verse 42, and straight with the damsel arose and walked. It says, for she was of the age of 12 years. Let's look up the word damsel. It says she was at the age of 12 years. All right. Damsel what? A girl damsel, a maiden. Right? A maiden. Deuteronomy chapter 22. Let's go back to it. Deuteronomy 22 and 28. Right? Damsel, that is a virgin. Let's look up the word damsel, see what the word damsel here says. It said what? A girl, a female servant, girl, damsel, young woman of marriageable age. A concubine, prostitute. A young woman of marriageable age. And Mark 5:39 tells you what? 12 years old. So when you judging the scriptures, you are judging Yahweh Shem Shai. Yes, I agree. It is not convenient for you to go and marry a woman that is under the age of 12, especially if the country that you're living in has an age of consent that does not condone, your marriage. All right? You basically want to put yourself in issues. All right? Another topic, is like close relatives. All right? Close relative. Can we have sex, brother and sister? No, we cannot. Auntie and nephew, or uncle and niece? No, we cannot. All right? Let's go to the scriptures. This is boom, boom, boom. Leviticus 18 and 6. It says, none of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahweh. It says, the nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shall thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shall thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, the daughter of thy mother, whether be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness shall thou not uncover. The nakedness of thy son's daughter or thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness shall thou not uncover. For theirs are thine own nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter. All right? Your father's wife's daughter. So, let's say your father meets this woman, they get married, your father meets this woman, they get married, and she has a daughter, not related to your father, not related to you. You can't go and lie with her, because why? Automatically, she becomes your father's daughter, making her your sister. All right? Begotten of thy father, she is thy sister, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. It says, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. Your father's sister is what? Your aunt. So you can't have sex, aunt and nephew or uncle and niece. All right? She is thy father's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister. All right? Your mother's sister is what? That is your aunt. All right? She is thy near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach his wife. She is thy aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. It says, neither shalt thou take her son's daughter. All right? Because why? Because they become your children. Or her daughter's daughter to uncover nakedness, for they are her near kinswoman. It is wickedness. All right? So, nowhere in the scriptures did it ever mention that having sexual intercourse or marrying your cousin is taboo or unlawful. In this society it is, but it is not unlawful. Furthermore, the lawful thing for Israel is to marry their cousin. What did Abraham send his servant to do? Sent to take a cousin of his wife's brother for his son. The same thing Jacob went. Jacob went, Rachel and Leah, they were his cousins. All right? Rachel and Leah were his cousins. Oh, that was back then. That law don't stand again. At what point did the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahshai change the law and said, no, we're not supposed to do that anymore? All right? At what point did he change the law saying we're not supposed to do that anymore? All right? Well, back then it didn't have much people. Now it have more people. Guess what? If your father, let's say your great grandfather has and his brother, your great 4-5 generations down the road, 2 brothers had children, and 5 generations later, what would their descendants be? Cousins. Their descendants would be cousins. And you say, nah, I can't have sex with my cousin, you know. Guess what? As long as you are an Israelite, any Israelite you go and have sex with, that is your cousin. Any Israelite you go and have sex with, that is your cousin. All right? There's Tobit chapter 4 and verse 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of the tribe of thy fathers. For we are the children of the prophets Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred. They married their cousins. All right? They were blessed in their children. Who blessing them? Yahweh Hashem Yahshai. And their seed shall inherit the land. All right? So marrying your cousins in this kingdom, we grew up hearing it over and over, brainwashed to thinking that the things in the scriptures are, are wickedness. All right? But when you come into the truth, you cannot come into the truth with that same mentality. When you come into the truth, you cannot come into the truth with that same mentality. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. If the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai was to come deliver us, and we had that same mindset, and we believe in some laws, we are against some laws because we don't think we should do that, we're gonna go right back into captivity. We're gonna go right back into captivity. You can't have issues with the laws of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right? You can't. There's the Lord's laws. All right? When you judging the laws, when you speaking evil of the laws, and you speaking evil of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, what he ordained. All right? There's Tobit chapter 6 and verse 10. And the angel said unto the young man, brother, today we shall lodge with Raguel, who is thy cousin. So if Raguel is your cousin, all right, let me read here first. Right, this is Tobit 7 and verse 2. Then said Raguel to Edna his wife, how like is this young man to Tobit my cousin? So if Tobit and Raguel are cousins, obviously their 2 children would also be cousins. All right? This is what the angel tell him. It says, the angel said to the young man, brother, today we lodge with Raguel, who is thy cousin. He also had one only daughter named Sarah. I will speak for her that she may be given thee for a wife. If it was unlawful, the angel would have not allowed it. If it was unlawful, the angel would not allow it. All right? You need to stop trying to mesh the truth and mesh the ideals of the world together. They don't. Light and darkness can never go together. When you have this mindset, you will not be thoroughly. That is why the Lord said you will not be thoroughly. You're not gonna be thoroughly cleansed. You're gonna have an Achilles heel because you're gonna have a weakness. And as the scripture says, by and by, you will be offended. All right? You can't be partially clean. You have to be thoroughly clean, thoroughly washed. Right? So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Shai. Alright, double honors to the apostles of great mercy and do rule well. Salutation to the men of the Hope Land Saints Select. This is your brother Makazar in Trinidad here saying shalom and stay strong. Hope this lesson was edifying. Shalom.